to call a meeting to order. And Stephanie, can we please get roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Ali,
Present.
Commissioner Daniel,
I think she's muted.
Commissioner Daniel. Okay. Commissioner Dillard,
Present.
Commissioner Gathua.
Yes, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Harris,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Rivera.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Sakawis and Commissioner Traore.
Here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Um,
So currently, oh, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
this is Commissioner Daniel. I am present.
Thank you.
So we did vote through the land acknowledgement last week, if I remember correctly. So just wanted to say before we continue that we do read the land acknowledgement before getting on to any other meeting agenda items. We didn't really clear how we were going to do this. Commissioner Rivera, do you have a preference on saying it, or is it more of just the chair that says it? Or does it matter?
I'm happy to read it if everyone wants me to read it. It's on the agenda tonight. I think that our motion and vote last week was to wait to utilize it until after the HRC formally adopted it. But again, if I'm okay reading it today.
Yeah.
Are we going to have the public comments before anything? Before that?
We do have the public comments on here as well. However, we do have those after the approval of the minutes on agenda item number 4.
Okay.
Okay, let me look through just to ensure. Okay, yep, for the August 5th meeting. Seeing that now. So my apologies. So we do have the land acknowledgement in here. We can read over it just to ensure that everyone kind of just knows what's on it, and then have that be a formal process, or we can move on to agenda item number 3, whichever everyone's okay with.
I'll go ahead and read it just so everyone knows what it says again. And then starting with our August 5th meeting, if the HRC does approve it, then yeah, I think that you can read it, Chair, or any of us can read it at the top of the meeting. And I think it's appropriate to be inserted into the agenda before approval of meeting minutes and public comment. So I think that works. But the land acknowledgement as it stands says, we meet today in the community of Iowa City, which now occupies the homelands of Native American nations, to whom we owe our commitment and dedication. The area of Iowa City was within the homelands of the Iowa, Meskwaki, and Sauk, and because history is complex and time goes far back beyond memory, we also acknowledge the ancient connections of many other Indigenous peoples here. The history of broken treaties and forced removal that dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their homelands was and is an act of colonization and genocide we cannot erase. We implore the Iowa City community to commit to understanding and addressing these injustices as we work toward equity, restoration, and reparations. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. And so with that, we do have the approval of the meeting minutes from July 8th. So those meeting minutes begin on page number 5. Does anyone have anything in terms of changes to the minutes or any questions before we have a motion on this? Okay. doesn't sound like anything. I think Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong. So you did let me know, excuse me, that I actually am able to make motions.
Correct.
Okay, so before doing this one, I will just say that I will use this very sparingly. But in terms of things like the approval of meeting minutes, that would be a situation where I feel more comfortable. But I would like to put a motion forward to approve the meeting minutes from July 8th. And do we have a second on that?
Rivera, second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, Commissioner Ali,
Yes.
Commissioner Daniel,
Yes.
Commissioner Dillard,
Yes.
Commissioner Gathua,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Sakawis, Commissioner Traore.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes 8-0. Thank you.
So do we have public comment for any items not on tonight's agenda? Just want to remind the public, we will give you the opportunity to speak on the things on the agenda, but this time is for items not on the agenda. Please raise your hand and we'll be sure to give you up to 5 minutes to speak a piece. All right, does not look like we have any commenters at this time. So we can move on to agenda item number 5, which was the request for proposals update and next steps. So this is in page 9 of the agenda packet. So as I understand it at this time, we did receive one submission for request for proposals. So Stephanie, in the email, I think it had said that we were to vote on the point sheet, correct? And then do the evaluations from there, or we decide whether we wanted to put out another round of requests. Which one was it?
No, I believe at this point, every commissioner should have gotten an email from the purchasing department. If you have not, let me know and I will follow up first thing in the morning. But basically, they sent the evaluation form for this particular RFP, and you have to sign this evaluation form and send it back to them, and then they will forward you the actual proposal that was submitted. And it appears from the email that was sent that the evaluations would be due on Friday, August 6th by noon. And so I guess the commission can decide if they don't want to evaluate this proposal. But other than that, that's kind of how it's moving forward, is that you would evaluate it on an individual basis at this point.
Oh, okay. So
So Stephanie, clarification question, that August 6th deadline, is that for signing the evaluation form, or is that after we receive the evaluate or the RFP and evaluate it further?
Sure. So that's the date that you would have evaluated the RFP and send it to the purchasing department, your evaluation back to the purchasing department.
And is there a certain number of commissioners that have to be involved in this process?
I had, when I spoke with purchasing, I said that all 9 commissioners would be participating in the evaluation process. If you want to change that, you certainly can. But it was my understanding that everybody would participate in the evaluation.
Thank you.
in terms of how we do move forward on this, I do want to ask all the commissioners. So are we looking to do this round of evaluations and then see if we can find others to submit any proposals, or are we looking to put in this round of evaluations and do some kind of special meeting for an interview and then decide if we want to do another round? I'm just want to make sure we get that kind of settled this is a actual request for proposals rounds. If we do a new one, it's better to start that sooner rather than later.
And just to specify, in order to move on to the interview stage, this particular applicant would need to score a minimum of 80 points. So that means that all your scores average would need to be in that 80% percentile in order for it to move forward. And that still doesn't mean that you're going with them. It just means the opportunity to have a conversation.
Does anyone else have any thoughts?
I say we go forward with the evaluation process with the RFP that we have, without opening up to further requests.
Does anyone have any objections to that?
No, I don't. I think it's good if we go on a rolling basis until filled.
Do we have like a target number of requests that we'd kind of like to hit? Like, are we looking for like 3 before we kind of moved on to final rounds, or are we looking for 4 or 5?
Just to be clear, the closing date for this submission has already occurred. So there wouldn't be any more submissions under this proposal.
Oh,
Yeah, we'd have to send out a new one, and then that'd be the 30-day period, correct? Or can we make it a shortened timeline with it being, if it were to be reopened with the same thing?
That is a question I would have to ask the purchasing department because it's their area, but I could definitely inquire about that and get back to everyone on the commission.
Okay.
My preference at this point, and I'm welcome, invite others to oppose me, but my inclination at this point is to go through this process. I think that we had sort of the RFP open for long enough, and we announced it, and if the proposal doesn't meet our sort of 80 percentile benchmark, or if after our interview we decide that it's not a right fit, I would suggest that we pursue other avenues for selecting our facilitator that doesn't involve the RFP, similar to maybe how we got our first facilitator.
And for those that aren't familiar with the first process, that would essentially mean that if anyone had any names of people they wanted to bring forward, kind of going down that path, interviews, the whole thing. But Kevin, I would say that I do agree with that course of action. 1, more concise. 2, we do have a proposal to look through. And 3, time is kind of the essence here. If we extend it out another 30 days before even looking at this one, then who knows if this person does end up, or this proposal does end up being a group that is very solid. Do we have any public comments or anyone from the commission that does have anything else to say on this? Oh, you can go ahead, Daphne.
So if anybody has any names of people they would like to recommend for the facilitator position, it's not clear why they just wouldn't ask that person to submit a proposal. Knowing a commissioner doesn't mean that you should get a shortcut in the process. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
I'd agree, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a shortcut. You would still have to be, scored or whatever it is, or interviewed. I wouldn't call it. Let's say under this process, this RFP process, let's say this person doesn't get the 80 minimum points, or let's say it's decided that we didn't want whatever this proposal was. So if we were to then go with either a new RFP process, or either go with a new batch and then be asking people, then I wouldn't see it more as special treatment, because everyone would kind of be expected to go out and look for people, because we kind of gave that 30-day mark for anyone to submit, and no one did other than one. So it'd kind of be up to commissioners to then look and facilitate new applications coming in.
So if someone has someone in mind that they think would be a good facilitator, I feel like the time to ask them to submit a request for proposal has passed. I don't know if just I don't know if it's really the same experience, like the same process at all, because Stephanie, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the RFPD, I believe, is a blind evaluation process. You don't actually get the names of the people who have submitted a request for proposal. Is that correct?
No, I believe, thought the name was in here.
It's like Kearns and West, I believe.
Yeah, it's in on the first page, I believe. It does note who submitted the proposal.
Item F towards the bottom of page 9.
So the only
And I can pull
difference-
it up. I apologize. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. So the only difference would be we would present people to the commission. Is that what you're thinking? In a less formal process?
The next process is not set in stone. That's just something we could decide. Just right now, I'm just being hypothetical. If this person doesn't get the score, the minimum 80s, and if the commission were to decide we don't like this process or we don't like this proposal, then just saying, all right, contingency, thinking ahead of time, we would have to know that we are either going to be putting out yet another RFP process or going to have to go with the past process of think of who you know that you would like to put forward, ask them if they'd like to apply, and go through that process of, all right, interview, vetting, whatever it is. So kind of just thinking contingencies just in case.
Okay. So it'd be more like a job description, and then people would apply. We'd still have the evaluation process. Since the RFPD is not a blind evaluation process anyway, there wouldn't be any preference. Okay. Is that clear? Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe there'd be the preference aspect. I mean, at least since there is the majority vote side anyways. And, you know, in terms of however we end up deciding to do it, it could be everyone have in a special meeting. I want to ask you this set of questions. This person, I want to ask you this set of questions. I'm not trying to make it seem as if it's, hey, I want my friend to do this job. We're just going to, you know, push that person in. Like, I don't think it'd end up that way at all. But with all that being said, we do have a request for proposal in here. Doesn't sound like anyone does want to extend anything. So by August 6th at noon, if everyone can have this evaluation completed and signed and dated so that we can move forward. It is. And would that just be emailed to you, Stephanie?
The evaluation when it's
Or just-
completed?
Yeah.
No, it would actually go to Teresa, who is the one who would have emailed each of you. And if I could just confirm everybody that's currently on this meeting did receive that email, because if everybody could just let me know. Okay, because if you didn't, then I will follow up in the morning. And it's important to note on the second page also, if you have questions or need further explanation on anything that you read once you receive the actual proposal, again, those should be directed to the purchasing division to follow up, and then everybody will receive the same information in terms of the question or the inquiry that was made in the response. But it's the purchasing department actually oversees this process, and so they're the contact person in terms of any questions or inquiries you might have that are specific to this proposal or even to this process.
So I think in the email I had gotten the evaluation form, but not the actual proposal. So you're saying just to email them, say, hey, I'm ready for the proposal, we're signing off, and then we get it.
Correct. Once you sign that
Okay.
evaluation form and send it back, you'll get the actual proposal sent to you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What date did it go out? Is it on July 8th? Titled something facilitator?
No, it was not July 8th. I believe it was this past Monday, which would have been July 19th is when it should have been sent out.
Yeah, July 19th is when I got it.
And it would have been sent by Teresa Van Adders, who the person
Okay,
was.
yeah, I got it
Okay.
now, yeah.
Found it. All right. Do we have anything else on this from anyone? Any other comments or anything else from the public? Any questions?
This is Commissioner Dillard, and I'm just curious, is there a reason why the deadline is August 6th, which is the day after our next meeting? Just wondering if it's possible to do it faster.
I can check tomorrow if there's consensus amongst the 9 members to move that date up. I guess it would be helpful for me to know what you would want it moved up to, and I can let them know. But again, this is through the purchasing department, so it's not really the area that I'm that familiar with. And so I would need to check with them to see why that date was selected and if it can be moved up. But again, just thinking a few steps ahead, if that's something that you're thinking you want to do so that you can have a discussion at your next meeting, then if you could give me a firm date that you would prefer, I think that would be helpful.
Thank you, Stephanie.
I prefer noon on
Thinking-
August 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Gathu, sorry, go ahead.
I think you said it because I was shooting for a date that allows us to have it on our agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, we essentially write the kind of the same language for the agenda item again.
Yeah.
Request for proposals, update, next steps. That should leave it open for whatever we may need on that.
And I'm not sure if August 4th would allow enough turnaround for the purchasing department to average everybody's score out. So just kind of thinking about that, you may want to give a little more time for them to average those scores.
Monday, here, let's see what that'd be. I believe that'd be August
I
1st,
think it's this.
or August 3rd, I think.
It's the 2nd.
Or the 2nd, yeah, Monday, August 2nd.
Stephanie, do you believe or do you think that might be enough time if we did it on the 2nd?
If there's a problem, I will reach out to them tomorrow morning, and I will send an email out to all commissioners and let you know if they see that as a problem. If it is, I guess I would just take courtesy and maybe bump it then to that previous Friday, which would then be July 30th, I think. And so, I would think hopefully that would give enough cushion. And this is, again, all assuming that this is something that can be done. I'm not sure, but I will follow up either way with everyone tomorrow.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions on RFP updates, next steps on that, or in terms of dates for turning in evaluations? Okay. Doesn't sound.
Just
Oh,
a
never mind.
second. Yeah. Stephanie, this one, the signing, do we have to print out or anything in order to sign, Stephanie?
You, if you have Adobe, you should be able to do an electronic signature on the form.
Okay.
But if not, and somebody may be a little more tech savvy than me, but I know Adobe allows you to do a electronic signature if you don't have the ability to print and sign and scan it back.
Adobe Fill and Sign, or with your phone can take a, there's a Fill and Sign app as well you can do it with. And then a third option is to just write your name on a piece of paper, write the date on another piece of paper, take a picture of each, upload them to your computer, and you can just copy and paste in there, save it. But Fill and Sign, I believe, should be free for use.
And if anybody, we can certainly print it off for anybody at City Hall if you want. And assuming that the United States Postal Service can deliver in Iowa City within 24 hours, if you let me know you want me to send you a hard copy of it, the mail goes out at 11 a.m., but I could get it mailed out. Hopefully you would get it Saturday, and I can include an envelope to mail it back to me if that helps facilitate something. Or if you're available, you can come by City Hall and I can print it off and you can sign it, and then I can just get it to Teresa too.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure that electronic signature was acceptable.
Anything else on that item from anyone? Okay. Budget updates and the action plan for city council meeting. Just want to give anyone from the public that would like to speak on this an opportunity before we continue. Please raise your hand if you have anything to say. All right, so essentially had put this one on here in case, so we had talked about kind of statements and things, and I know some people did have the opportunity to speak to the press, but in case there was anything else that we wanted to cover before, I think city council's meeting is the 27th, this coming Tuesday, where that's their first opportunity to look at the budget. So I do currently plan on going to that meeting and speaking on this item, but wanted to know if anyone else was interested in attending as well, or if we wanted to, put a joint statement together, or if anyone wanted to add to a statement that I was looking to prepare to present to council on this item.
This is Commissioner Harris. I'm interested in attending and also helping with a statement.
This is Commissioner Ali speaking, but I was looking at the agenda posted by the City Council, and it looks like we're item number 15, and it says the resolution approving the preliminary operational budget for the Ad Hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission that runs from July of 2021 through December of 2021. So it's on the regular agenda, and the only counselor who has publicly spoken for this on record is Laura Burgess. So I want to be wary of the fact that they could try to approve the budget with their own amendments. So I think that whoever is speaking on behalf of the TRC to the council at that meeting, I think just really needs to have like a good set in stone game plan, and just kind of have prepared something really good, informational for them, and just are ready with, arguments that some may have, especially when it comes to the stipends.
say I'd have to agree. I do currently have something written out, and then anyone that would like to also attend, I'd like to send this to you as well to critique, to add anything you'd like to add. If you have anything that you think is very important that that we do portray or that we are sure to speak on, then let's just be sure to work on this together so everyone's voices are heard in it. Or if we'd like to do it in a way where one person gives a general TRC statement and then each person can come up and give their own personal piece, that's another route we could take.
I think it's also important to consider maybe what the expectations of the council are, because they might already be expecting you, Mohammed, probably to like do give them a rundown of the budget, or one of us going through it to give a type of presentation. So I think we also kind of should take that into consideration on to like what type of I know there will be public comment, but I also don't think that we should count out, having someone like you presenting the budget in an itemized way, kind of,
Yeah. And I think Commissioner Ali's correct. I think the expectation is that if you want, there would be a presentation. It would be similar to like if I had an item on the council agenda where they say staff presentation. And so I think the expectation is that a member of the TRC will be presenting on the budget.
And I'm going to be honest, I think Mohammed, you would probably be the best person to give a presentation on the budget, not only because you kind of did a lot of the brunt work for it, but I also think that you're much better at talking to council than I think I would be. And I think that your relationships with some of the counselors that I refuse to talk to is valuable for us. So, and I would hope that you'd be willing to present on our behalf if that's something that everyone would agree with.
One, I am willing, but two, I think you'd be surprised. There's still a few of them that have never answered a call or text from me. So yeah, we'll see. But Cliff, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing to go with you as well. However I could help out, I definitely will. Just let me know when, and we'll get it scheduled out. I'll definitely roll with you.
How many can be there? Because if there can be 4, I'll be there.
I was just going to ask, Steph, is there rules about that if it's at another public thing?
Yeah, I think you're okay at that.
Okay.
And if you have something that is visual, then I would suggest having it on a stick drive so that you can hook it up to the laptop that will be there.
Perfect.
So that meeting is this Tuesday, this following Tuesday. So I think that, the 4 of you that plan to be there for sure should get together. But I also think that maybe Commissioner, their chair, and Cliff should meet one-on-one to discuss kind of the presentation or just go over what they might say. I don't know if your idea is a PowerPoint or whatever that may be. I think that you guys should set up a time together to work on something or just coordinate something so that you kind of have a really solid plan for what you're going to go in and say and how you're going to answer any questions that might come up from a few of the council members.
What time is the meeting, and is it in person?
It is in person.
It's at the formal meeting will start at 6 p.m. and it will be at the center, also known as this the senior center, which is about a block up from City Hall.
Daphne, do you want to go ahead? since you have your hand up, and then Cliff can go after you.
If anyone wants to do like a mock council interview type thing, I could be available for that Monday night. So if we could pretend to be city council asking you questions.
Tomorrow?
I'm sorry?
You said Friday night, and I'm saying tomorrow.
Oh, I said Monday night.
Oh, okay.
This is Commissioner Harris. I just want to say that just like other people, I've talked to a few council members, and they've expressed how they felt about it. So we need to at least prepare, because there's going to be opposition, and there's going to be opposition from the public as well.
It's Commissioner Johnson. I definitely agree with meeting up and preparing ahead of time. And Monday sounds good to me. Just throwing that in as well. If we need any location to do so, just let me know too. I can probably more than likely provide for that. If you guys just wanted to meet up somewhere, or if you wanted to do it over, I mean, just let me know. I'm up for that.
This is Commissioner Dillard. So just to clarify and make sure I understand, so if there's more than quorum, we are all allowed to be there if we want to just show up in solidarity? Is that what you're saying, Stephanie?
Yeah, I don't think there's a problem with that.
Because I would like to be there, but if you all have it all together, I can lend my voice where needed, but it sounds like I would just like to be there in person. That's what I'm saying.
Is the council meeting on Tuesday or Monday?
It's on Tuesday, the 27th, and unfortunately it falls on the same night as a school board meeting that is also very important. But
And I'm thinking also the human rights meeting is also that the same day, and where we have the land acknowledgement, although it's earlier.
Yeah, the commission meets at 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm planning on attending the Human Rights Commission meeting to talk about the land acknowledgement. And then depending on what time that is over, I might join you guys.
I'll be downtown all day Tuesday, and I have some time blocked off in my schedule as well for whatever we need to do in terms of preparation.
Yeah, I second that. I plan to be downtown all day that day too as well.
I'm also planning to be at the Human Rights Commission because of the land acknowledgement. So which means I'll just move from that one to the city council.
so I think that we've kind of got a good plan set up. What I have written down here is that Mo, Daphne, Cliff could coordinate time on Monday to discuss like a mock council meeting. And you guys can plan that amongst yourselves. And then Mo and Cliff will be at the council meeting to present to the council on this budget. And it'll be just on Mo to have that ready. Is that okay? Do you need help preparing it? I don't want to put too much on your plate by asking you to make a PowerPoint and present it to the council, but
kind of been stewing over it for like 10 days or so. So I have a bit of an idea on layout, but I will have a copy to you guys by Sunday night to look over, and you can let me know whatever you think of it and we can make updates from there. And then Monday night, I'd like to do that mock council meeting.
yeah, that sounds good.
So I'd like to offer to be at the city council meeting. I wouldn't necessarily have to present with you in CliffMo, but I would like to help with answering questions because it sounds like you might be getting grilled, and I think I could help with that.
I
Would be nice to have a lawyer.
Yeah, I would definitely.
I agree with that. That's why.
Yeah, I think we should utilize that as much as possible. So I don't know if, Commissioner Harris, do you want to be in on their Monday mock council meeting, but you would just be the fourth person. So you'd be at quorum then.
Yeah, like I would like to be in because I have already read some of the talking points that Mo has. They're good talking points. I've also done an interview about it, about the budget as well. So I would definitely agree to go to the Monday night thing and attend the Tuesday meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. I think since we've got a general idea, if nobody has anything else, I think we're at a good place to move on to the next item.
I agree.
Yeah, let's do it. So next item we do have on here is revisit the TRC's mission and the framework used to complete our work. So I do quickly want to reference in the meeting minutes from the last meeting, we added that discussion on truth telling. Amel gave us that forensic truth, narrative truth, dialectic or dialogue truth, restorative truth, and moral truth. In terms of new definitions to look at. And then for our main page on the city government's webpage, we have the fact-finding, truth-telling, reconciliation, and the mission statement. So laying those all out there, where do we want to dig in and begin to really get that clarity? As I think it was Commissioner Gothela, you asked me to put this on here.
Yeah, I did that just because I was kind of feeling that last time the framework for listening to the truth, or maybe it's just me not remembering what we ended up with as our framework. And in relation to that, I also have a question for, I don't know whether it's to all of us or it's to Stephanie. When we are going to a group, is it possible to have some sort of letter that says who we are and where our authority and where for the side of the people I'm not saying everybody that we are collecting experiences from, but some people where they could do informed consent for our end and their end. I'm looking for the umbrella framework of how we are collecting the experiences. I feel as if, and I'm already being corrected that we summarized in addition, or whether we are going with all those truths or the various forms, the narrative, the forensic, or whether we have one framework that under which we work as we collect experiences in various ways and for us.
Actually, you were right to ask for clarification. Because from what I'm seeing on here, it says that we'll discuss questions at this meeting. It looks like we kind of just talked about a truth-telling session we could have around National Night Out or like that week or sometime soon after. We going over the terms were more just getting everyone thinking. And then I remember there was a distinction as well that we wanted to make between telling the truth and then the actual reconciliation and then the part about reparations. But in terms of our process, if we are to do one that week of National Night Out or just after, do we have an idea of which kind of truth we're really aiming for out of this list? Or are we more so looking to ask people if they want to participate and then deciding how we want to move forward in the framework from there?
This is Commissioner Harris. I'm sorry, Daphne. I just at the last minute I saw your hand go up before I started talking. But so I'm wondering, and how do we find the people that are going to tell the truth? Like, can we recommend them? Can we say, I know this person and he has a truth to tell? How do we figure that out? And also, it's been a different question that I had, and me and Mo talked about it, is can people that are on the commission tell truths? So I just needed to get clarity and an answer about that.
Daphne, did you want to go first, or did you want to discuss what he said? We can go either way.
No, let's just discuss Commissioner Harris's question first, and then I'll add my point, or yeah.
Okay. In terms of my thoughts on it, I think we should feel open to telling our truths. There's one, the power in that of helping to open others up. So a lot of people in the community are probably fearful of just getting out in front of everyone, having this recorded, having it be available in government documents and whatever research is done on it. Whereas if we are willing to be vulnerable first, or at least some of us, not everyone has to be, then that at least helps other people in the public that might have been a bit hesitant know that it is a safe space. So to me, that would probably be a good way to go forward. And it's also leaves a little less, also de-risks it a little bit, because it leaves room for us to test which framework we're really trying to use, if that makes sense.
What did you ask Commissioner Traore?
So Commissioner Harris was asking, like, so
no, the framework part of it. You said something at the end. Yeah.
So like the framework. So like if we are each to tell a truth that we feel is really important to us, that needs to be told. So afterwards, we could come up there and say, I mean, after looking at these terms, like I'm looking for forensic truth, or I'm looking for narrative truth, or I'm here to tell a restorative truth, or my goal is moral truth. So if the commissioner was able to say that at that time, you know, we know the definition, so it's a little easier to tell. And I just feel like we have a little more to do in terms of digging on what these terms mean and what these frameworks look like. But if we are to model it and then kind of name it ourselves, that may help a little bit more in terms of envisioning the process for other people. But I mean, I don't know for sure. Just ideas, just thrown out. So we do have Daphne and then Chastity.
So first, I'd like to say we don't really want to limit people's. We don't want to limit people on how they can express their truth, and so I think we should all just be aware that there may be some people who can only express their truth by getting emotional because it was such a traumatic truth or experience for them. And then I also want to say, like, I've been working on kind of like procedures for the truth collecting. Now, how we can solicit truths or what that setup would look like, I haven't really gone into that. So as far as what do we do with the truths once we get them, how do we preserve them, I am working on that. And if we need to start looking into how we can solicit or ask or bring people together to get those truths, I think that would be good work to do simultaneously with developing the process for what to do after collecting them. And I would welcome any commissioner to kind of work on that, and then we could work on it together. I yield.
Go ahead, Chastity.
Oh, I was actually just going to respond to Commissioner Harris, your question of how do we find people. And I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I have had people start coming to me asking when can they start telling their truths, or just start a conversation with me and want to be able to tell their truths. They might not be saying it in that exact form, but they're wanting to tell their story. So I think when we put an event, people will come, and the ones that are afraid will come after that. Just my thoughts.
I totally agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And as far as people telling truths, it's people, there's some people on this commission, they went through the truths. They experienced it, and I know a lot of people that can tell a lot of truths that you wouldn't believe what you heard when they tell you the truth, the things they did, because I'm affiliated with other organizations like Inside Out. That's a great place to start to find about like some truths. So I agree with Chastity, it's just walking and just talking to people. You can find the truth about how people went through so many different things, so much bad incarceration, or just things that you wouldn't believe. And I'm one of those people, so.
Oh, Commissioner Gathwa, and then Emil.
Yeah, this Commissioner Gathwa. And back to you, Commissioner Eric, to your question asking whether we can tell our truths too. Yeah, I think we have been doing that even right here. Sometimes we disclose. And also, as we go out there in the activities that are there, unfortunately, some of it is not yet recorded. So it's not caught, neither is what is how we hear. For example, when we go to the diversity market and the other events that we have been to. So that's something, I think that's one of the things that Commissioner Daniel has been talking about. And thank you very much, Commissioner Daniel, for answering my question. The question that made me want us to revisit this. What framework are we working under? Relooking already, the TRC is a framework, collecting truth. That's the bigger one. And then you said, let's not limit. So all these other ways fall under that, so that now we can get to what you're talking about now. How do we keep track of that as we move? Because even since we began, we already have some things, and I'm getting afraid that we've lost some things. Yeah, so figuring that out. Yeah, in my head, what I had, the clarity I felt I didn't have during our last meeting as we left. Right now, as we have talked, it's become clearer, because the TRC itself and revisiting the mission and what we are about and our mission, that's the umbrella. And then when we say, let's not limit ourselves. Now, as we go for the truths, or people come to us in various ways. Some of those truths are already there. So it's just a matter of getting hold of them. So thank you very much. Now, my other question, which I'm thinking I'm directing to Stephanie, if need be, can we get a letter to if it's needed?
And
who does that?
The letter that would be on informed consent, or do you just mean a letter that states kind of the mission and the goals of the TRC? Because you had kind of mentioned both, so I just want to make sure I answer.
Yeah,
right.
It will capture both, because it will summarize what we are about, introduce. For example, if I'm to visit a group and I'm collecting their truths, and so it would capture whom we are, and then I would also want them to, once I've informed them, I would want them to consent to sharing their experiences. So Are we able to get such a thing?
I mean, the letter, if the commission wants to put together a letter, I think that's totally fine. And I think if you want a document or something, that would be fine. But I guess with open meetings and public records, I guess that's just kind of another document that could be requested. And so if possible, there might be a way to have conversations prior to the testimonies that would relay the same type of information without necessarily having people fill out a form with their name and signature on it. You know, it's kind of like when you go to meetings and you talk about, you know, having safe spaces and the expectations on, you know, what is repeated and things like that, just kind of starting off with kind of ground rules, I guess is what I'll call them. And that may be a way to kind of get at your concerns without having a formal document. But, you know, it's up to the group.
Well, I think, so I'm going back to kind of something that we were talking about before Wayne Guy's second question, back to the matter of whether we can or can't tell truths. I think once the budget is approved, then I think we could still take that opportunity to hire some videographer to get, you know, to take video of our testimony, just as commissioners and members of Iowa City, while we're still working on planning a public truth-telling event. I think that that's something that we should think about doing after the budget has been approved by council. But I think that would be a good place to start, because I do feel like, you know, a lot of us have truths that we want to tell. And if we're not sure if it's appropriate to do it at one of the sessions or, you know, something like that, then I think that that would be our best move. But I am glad that we found some clarity with the questions that Gathua had regarding the framework and the mission. I think it's just something that's hard to like specifically say until we know how much money they're going to allow us to use to plan these things. So yeah, I'm going to yield to the floor with that.
And, I can go real quick. I just got something to say. I agree with the vice chair and the chair, you know, that truth need to be told, you know, by members of the commission. So that would make other people feel more comfortable to tell truths, because if the members of the commission can tell truths about what they've been through, and I know the vice chair and I know the chair, we've all been through things, you know, and I know a person right now who's a caseworker at a reentry place, and he's ready to go to tell his truth. He spent 7 to 8 years in federal prison, and he's ready to go and tell his truth about solitary confinement and other things like that. So with that, I yield the floor.
I like to try this. So did this like program strategic doing. So essentially the way it works is anything you're looking to plan, a good thing to do is take about 60 minutes or so, bring everyone to the table and try to find what's called a big easy. So the simplest way to conceptualize whatever it is we're trying to do. And then from there, work to figure out how are we going to accomplish that? And what are the milestones we're going to look at to see what's working, what's not working, how we can tweak it. What I'd like to do is take our next public meeting and do that planning all together, implement that to really flesh this out. So let's see where we're deficient. Let's see where we have everything together. And if we can see where we're deficient, that lets us know what we need to maybe research what we need to get more clarity on, who we might need to ask to figure out more. If that sounds good to everyone else, but we can always do it a different way too.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And I think that also you can reach out to our subcommittees individually and stuff too, that while we're meeting, we can talk about the idea. But I think about planning it all together in one session is a good idea. Is everyone okay with moving on to the next agenda item, or do we have more things that we want to talk about with the mission and framework?
I think that as I move on as the African communities are putting back their experiences, I'll come back to the commission to ask for something that's not verbal, to explain what it is that we are about, and for them to give them so that they can agree to share their experiences. With that, I yield.
Do we have anything else on this item, or are we ready for item number 8? And by the way, everyone, when it comes to anything for the agenda, feel free to either text each other or send emails on it, because yeah, we can continue to speak on them during the week in terms of planning. So the next thing is agenda item number 8, which is the update on future meetings and discussion. So I do want to give the public the opportunity to speak on this. So this is more on, so we did talk about potentially moving to, in-person meetings at some point. There are some new things that have come up in the news lately, in public health lately. So I want to give the public the opportunity to speak on this, and then for us to have that conversation before we continue, so we are on the same page of how we're going to move forward. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on agenda item number 8? It's like our future meetings and just discussion on that process and location, anything of that nature. All right, in terms of the commission, start this off with saying that, so I was one of the ones that was really pushing to get to in-person meetings. Looking at it at this point, I now am wary of the fact that the vast, in terms of looking at it in demographics, the people more likely to have adverse complications or to die from the coronavirus, minorities, immigrants, people in poverty. These are the voices of the people we are looking to raise and lift up. And that's really the main point of this commission. So I don't feel comfortable moving to in-person meetings until we have more time to see what this Delta variant truly is looking like and how people are choosing to deal with it themselves. From stats I've been looking at, it's looking like it's 2 to almost 3 times as contagious as some of the original variants. And people can say whatever they want in terms of vax, anti-vax, whatever. At the end of the day, if more people can get it, even if those people aren't dying, complications can arise, such as reduced lung capacity, missing work. So I don't want to have my selfishness in wanting to be in person possibly affect someone else being able to go to work, someone potentially losing a parent, if it's for a short amount of time or if it's for good, or if it comes down to just bad will with the public in general of, all right, it's nice that you got everyone together, but if this was the cost that we had to pay for it, I can sit through a few extra Zoom meetings if needed, but those are my thoughts.
Just to kind of give some background on this, the governor's proclamation of disaster emergency, which suspended the law that requires boards and commissions to meet in person, expires on July 25th, which means that board and commissions will have to return to in-person meetings if she doesn't extend this. And she has indicated in her last proclamation that that Iowans should not expect that this suspension will be extended beyond July 25th, 2021. However, in order to return to in-person meetings, the TRC would need to have a majority of their members present at an in-person meeting. So you would need at least 5 commission members present to have a valid in-person meeting. If there are members that are uncomfortable coming to that, space or into that space, again, the thing that you have to be mindful of is in order to have a quorum, you have to have 5 of each of you at a meeting. I did reach out to communications, and I will work with them to, try to accommodate both the public and the commission. But unless the governor extends this, there's not really an option in terms of having virtual valid board and commission meetings. That's just not going to be an option. But like I said, we can try a hybrid situation, but that doesn't remove the fact that, members are going to need to be present in person. And I will do my best to set the rooms up, so that people can be spaced out, have masks available, hand sanitizers, etc. But unless this is extended, that's why the Human Rights Commission is meeting in person on Tuesday, because we're assuming that this isn't going to be extended.
Few things. One, yeah, I'm with you on assuming not going to be extended. The one thing that just kind of makes me feel like things may have really changed is in the last few days, the tone of a lot of the Republican lawmakers that has completely flipped. And now as well, what we're seeing on stations like Fox News, also pushing vaccinations. So this could go anyway, but yes, let's assume definitely that this is not going to be extended. But with that being said, is there anyone on the commission that would not feel comfortable being in person? With what I said earlier, that was more of making sure I'm not putting myself ahead of others. But if we do have to be in person to at least make it a valid meeting, I'm willing to do that myself. And we can have others be remote if needed.
And if somebody doesn't want to disclose that, they can just shoot me an email and let me know, like, I don't feel comfortable coming, and we can handle it that way.
I think we had Langley first, and then Daphne, Mel, Keva.
Yeah, I just want to go with the numbers, and when they say Delta is even worse than what we've been, and I don't mind saying publicly, I'm not ready until the science is showing otherwise. So, yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable going in person. I yield.
You go ahead.
Mel,
No, I'm good. Never mind. You can go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of push back on that, and Stephanie essentially said the same thing, but I just want to make it clear we really shouldn't be asking people to express publicly whether they are comfortable or not, and we also don't need to know anyone's vaccination status or not. So maybe we can just follow up on whether we feel comfortable in emails to Stephanie, and then also emails to the commission, because we could possibly make accommodations just to make sure we have quorum. I yield.
I agree with most all of what you just said. My whole thing is, you don't have to say anything right now as well if you don't want to, but I at least want to have the conversation of, let's see how close to quorum we currently are, so we know how much we need to prioritize this conversation in the next few days.
But I don't know if it's really worth having this conversation on a public forum when it really depends on what the governor does. And so we can spend 20 minutes talking about this and it may not matter because the governor extends the proclamation or something like that. So that I don't know if we really need to spend a lot of time on this topic right now. I yield.
I'd agree, but it's also the contingency of that date is Sunday. So if she doesn't Sunday and Monday, we're supposed to come together, prepare for budget, Tuesday, defend the budget, and then have a week to prepare for the next meeting. Like, I'm a person where like, I'd rather know sooner rather than later in terms of contingencies. Like, I like to not have, just extra things that I'm just not sure on in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, I feel like after the year and a half we've had, if it's one thing that this pandemic has showed us is that things can change very quickly. Mm-hmm. So I just don't see the point of spending so much time. And you know what, this is kind of moot because I'm spending time pushing back on this. So I'm just, okay, I yield.
My question is for Stephanie, for city council meetings and for other board and commission meetings, is there a mask mandate and any social distancing requirements in place?
There are not. When you walk into City Hall, there's a sign that says that masks are strongly encouraged, but they're not required.
Are we allowed to require people to wear masks?
Not unless there's a policy change, no.
Okay, so absent a mask mandate, I don't think that it's a good public health decision for us to encourage members of the public to be meeting us for a commission meeting.
And the goal, Commissioner Rivera, is I'm like I said, I'm working with communications, and the goal is to try to provide kind of a hybrid situation so that members of the public could still either call in or participate using, the internet with TRC meetings.
Yeah, thank you. I still don't think that we should be inviting people to congregate if people aren't going to be looking out for each other's safety. I yield. Thanks.
Let's let Cliff and Eric comment, and then I just want to know if there's anyone else that is available, like that wants to say it now. If you want to proclaim you're available to go for a public meeting, otherwise we can shut this down after those comments and move to the next thing. And then Cliff and then Eric.
Yeah, Cliff had his hand up first. So.
Yeah, I have no problem meeting. I'll wear a mask if need be. It doesn't bother me. If we're having issues with people feeling comfortable, is there a way that we could set things up where just like we're on we meet? I mean, well, it's also up to everybody's own personal preference, but like I said, I'm gonna stand by at least me. I don't mind going and meeting up with people and talking to them in person. It's fine with me. And if worst case scenario, could we set something up like this for people who want to do it remotely, or we might be there possibly, but then they could still hop right on here and they could still join in. And at the same time, if they don't want to be seen and they want to keep it a little bit more private, but still give their truth, can we set it up to do so? I mean, I just feel like we need to make this as comfortable as possible for people. And I mean, whatever it takes. So that's just my personal opinion.
So I go my own personal thing too. I feel comfortable meeting in person too, because I think about 50% of the commission members, I've seen them in public and we have already met up and saw each other. I'm fully vaccinated. And during the year and a half that we went through the pandemic, COVID devastated my family, and we were safe and came out of it. I didn't get COVID, but I'm fully vaccinated, and I don't have a problem with meeting in public because I feel like it's more impersonal. It's like we've been on these Zoom calls for, through the fall, basically through the whole pandemic. So I'm comfortable with meeting in public.
Stephanie, is Chauncey Swan Park available?
I would have to check that. I believe is scheduled through Parks and Recreation. So I would just have to check.
So yeah, so I was thinking they have that film backdrop there, and they once had circles painted there, kind of spread out. So yeah, if that's open, I guess that could be an option. But other than that, that's all I have left on this topic.
And I will let the commission know if I hear anything as soon as I hear it. So
Thanks, Steph. Are we ready to move on to topic number 9?
Community topics for discussion. Want to give anyone listening, sitting here today, if you're in the public, if you'd like to say anything on these. All right, we have Nicholas Tyson. So you've got 5 minutes. If you're saying anything, you need to continue, we will let you go.
All right. So yeah, just cut me off if I go over time. I don't care. I wanted to talk specifically about the Excluded Workers Fund. I was really glad to see that the commission is actually supporting the EWF, and I was also happy to see the chair at the recent joint entities meeting speaking in the very limited time that was made available to people on behalf of it. I do want to broach kind of a difficult subject, which is that something really concerned me that I heard at that joint entities meeting, which came from the city manager. And so I don't know to what extent this commission would be willing to actually sort of like take the city to task for this. But the timeline that the city manager proposed for actually responding to public feedback is actually well past the point at which council has already talked about making decisions as to how to spend the money from the America Rescue Plan Act. And that seems like a real contradiction to me. And also there are a number of other really concerning things. Like, for example, the Catholic Worker House actually had to put together a Spanish language survey on their own because the city wouldn't do it. And the results of that survey are pretty staggering. I don't know if you've seen any of the statistics, but I don't know. I knew it was bad, and like I didn't even realize it could possibly be that bad. So I would strongly suggest getting in contact with the Catholic Worker House and getting those numbers from them about the number of people, particularly undocumented persons who were affected by COVID and how they were affected by COVID, and the number of them who don't have access to any other funds. And so the reason why I'm talking to you all about this, not just because you have it under your agenda, but also I'm wondering if sort of like the moral weight of this commission could be used to push back against the way in which, at least it seems to me, and I'm just one individual, it seems to me like the city really isn't taking this very seriously. And they're like, I noted a couple of, things that I think indicate that the city staff already have in mind the ways in which they want to spend these funds and are just kind of humoring people when it comes to the really very broad coalition that supports the EWF. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have anyone else from the public that would like to speak on any of the community topics, or specifically Excluded Workers Fund? You can take your pick in terms of which one you speak on. Please raise your hand. We'll be sure to give you your time. All right. Back to the commission. Would we'd like to just start with topic A and work our way down. Sounds like it. Excluded Workers Fund updates. Added this one on here, one, from going to that joint meeting, but two, we sent our letter to every single city council in Johnson County. I also was sure to keep them all on the same two line of the same email, and some of their city staff and BCC reporters, because I wanted zero chance any of them could say that they did not receive the email. Afterwards, then spent the next few days trying to get more of them on the phone. A few of them answered. What was really striking to me, and that I really have to commend him for, John Green, the morning after his election, hops on a call to talk at length about the Excluded Workers Fund, about the MRAP, etc. But here I am, sitting here, town, an area I've lived in since I was 3 years old, and members of my own city council, few of them still don't answer a text, still don't answer a call. Some of my own supervisors on Johnson County still won't answer a text, still won't answer a call. And when it comes to more of our public officials in this county, very, very, very disappointed, to say the least. I would much rather they send a text back or call back, voicemail, whatever it is, and tell me they either don't care what I think, don't care about what we're doing, or don't care about this thing in general, than keep stringing it along, acting as if no one's going to say anything and it's not going to matter. That meeting earlier this week was disheartening for the other reason of we didn't even have all the joint entities show up. This is a meeting they don't regularly have. This was something that as well that was expressed on the phone to those that I could reach. You don't even regularly have these meetings. What assurances are there that all of the stakeholders show up? They talked more about fireworks, nuisances with fireworks, than they did about the American Rescue Plan funds, their plans for it, or the Excluded Workers Fund. Disgusting. It's July 22nd. How many people are still shooting off fireworks? 4th of July doesn't come again until next year. You can plan for that at your next joint meeting. But to do that at this one, it was very clear to me, at least how I think, they were trying to waste time thinking that we were either going to get tired and not want to say anything, or that, they could kind of just get away with whatever they're doing in general. But I would have to say that at this point, I think they believe people are giving up and they already have a lot of these funds earmarked. I'm saying that publicly now because I'd like them to prove otherwise. The lack of engagement thus far isn't helping my mindset on that. And with that, I yield the floor.
And I can go next because I was at that same meeting, and I'm not gonna.
Commissioner Harris, sorry to pause you.
They got their hands up. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, they just had their hands up for a while. So do you want to wait to speak till after Commissioner Daniel has spoken? Because Commissioner Rivera had their hand up first.
Thanks, Commissioner Harris. Thanks, Vice Chair. And thank you, Chair Traore, for including this as an item on our agenda tonight to discuss. And thank you for your ongoing hard work at really carrying this forward, representing this commission, not only at public meetings like the Joint Entities Council, but also in the activities of the Fund Excluded Workers Coalition, which continues to meet quite regularly, led by David Goodner of the Iowa City Catholic Worker House. And thank you to Commissioner Harris for your leadership in this area as well. I just wanted to provide a little bit more context to what Mr. or sorry, I don't know your honorific, but Nicholas Tyson had mentioned just briefly about a Spanish language survey that was coordinated and organized by the Catholic Worker House. I got to see some preliminary results from those, and they were, just like Nicholas mentioned, really astounding and really, really powerful. And so I do hope that once we get a final report on the data from those Spanish language surveys, to be able to forward them to the members of this commission, since we are signed coalition members of the coalition. There's also sort of ongoing engagement between our commission and that coalition, especially in the upcoming near future. Next week, there is a meeting, a stakeholder meeting with the city manager's office and the Fund Excluded Workers Coalition, which I plan to attend. And I think other members of our commission will plan to attend as well. So I'm just hoping that this provides a little bit of reassurance that this is still top of mind and one of our biggest early priorities as a commission moving forward. So thank you for your comments. Thank you for the leadership by the other commission members. And with that, I yield.
Okay, Commissioner Daniel, do you want to go? And then Commissioner Harris can speak after her.
Okay, thank you. I actually would love for the commission to get access to the surveys, survey results or a report or something, because that's actually the work that we are supposed to be doing. This is the kind of work we're supposed to be doing. It seems like every meeting, there's a point where someone gets to the point where they're trying to bring city council to task. And I understand it is annoying, some of the things that happen, but that's not what any of us are really here for. So I really think if it does not directly further our work, maybe it should be saved for commission announcements or something else. And I yield.
Commissioner Harris, whenever you're ready to speak, you can go ahead.
So I would say that I was involved in the Excluded Worker Fund thing and things like that, and it's kind of getting put in the back burner at this point. I heard points that people brought up, about how they're just trying to, put it on the back burner and not pay attention to it, and that's kind of what's happening right now. Me and a few other commissioners have put a lot of work into trying to get that stuff, taken care of, or we can see how it goes. And I just think we need to put more pressure on the city council. And that's what I think we need to do. That I yield.
Does anyone else have anything on 9A? Otherwise, we can kind of go into 9B/9C.
Don't have anything else other than Friday, July 30th at, I believe it's St. Patrick's Church. It's either at 6 or 6:30 p.m. We will be meeting with City Manager Fruin alongside Iowa City Catholic Worker House, if anyone else would like to join the commission. Then B, increasing public engagement. We do have the public here, so would definitely like to open it up to the public if they would like to say anything on this before we continue our discussion on it. All right, so increasing public engagement. Does anyone have any ideas they'd like to give for this one? Or do we feel like that ties into whenever we can get back in person, or the truth-telling aspect?
I think public engagement is a better conversation to have when we're actually discussing how we're going to engage the public in our sessions. Just because, there's not, especially since earlier when we were talking about having meetings back in a public setting. It seems like the majority of us, want to listen to science and try to keep the public safe. So I think that we could talk about that. Maybe it could be added on to something to discuss while we're planning during our next meeting, if that's okay with everyone, because I think we have a lot of people here that have a lot of really good connections, but we could spend literally hours talking about all of our connections and all the people we could bring to the table. So I think it would be better suited to have this discussion during that planning phase, and if that's okay with everyone else.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I did want to kind of include this on here to just get everyone at least thinking about it. Each one of these topics we can discuss for as long or as short as we'd like, but this is one thing I really want people to think on in the meantime, as starting to get more people saying, hey, that commission thing you guys are on, that's awesome, that's cool, what can I do to be a part of it? And it's one thing to say come to these Zoom meetings, but a lot of people, it's hard to get them to sit on a Thursday night Zoom meeting. So if we can think of other ways in the meantime, this is a possibility, we may kind of have to continue with these. So going forward in these next 2 weeks, just bring some ideas to that planning meeting if you can think of any. This C, unfortunately, we don't have Commissioner Novus here, because I know that she has, one, been very active on this, but two, has more documentation on it as well. But, Commissioner Gottlieb, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say already, the subcommittee education, I think as we were going to start laying the foundation on how we are collecting the truths, I'm thinking even if we haven't really met that well, I think we are moving in that direction of some of the collecting of the truth in that area it will be coming from the public. So even if we are not meeting people and going up there in person, we are heading in that direction. And then the African communities ratio inequity experiences, that one is still moving on. The planning team is meeting through Zoom. So it's not that we are not really doing anything. We are doing things. I yield.
I just want to check as well. Do we have anyone from the public that would like to say anything on 9C before the commission continues on this item? All right. Does anyone else on the commission have anything specific they would like to say on the ban on critical race theory, or any other news that has come out lately, or any ideas on another good time to address this? So we did hear from Commissioner Gottlieb just now that sounds like it's more tied with that education aspect. So definitely do want to start other conversations there. But are there any other ideas for it? One thing I would like to say on it is that I'm just always uncomfortable with bans for something like this, especially when it comes to education. So in this country, we're supposed to value free speech, and in general, people are supposed to have free will. And with that being said, how are we going to say you can't teach this at all because X party says it's wrong, or this group says it's wrong, and it's not truly debated and proven? it's more of just someone striking down a hammer just because they have a majority in this house or this legislature or whatever. And suddenly people aren't supposed to talk about it anymore, becoming taboo, things of that nature. Like, there's a lot of hypocrisy on both sides of the aisle in this country. And I know people will say, don't both sides this, don't both sides that. But I say this because it's important, in that we need to recognize that, one, in ourselves, if we ever fall into that trap, but really that helps us, if others are doing the same thing, to come up with those true arguments to show them as well. When you tell me that I'm saying this and that this is hypocritical, and then you do this and this is hypocritical, just using those rhetorical devices, those rhetorical arguments, so that they aren't just going to say, oh, that's critical race theory, I'm not going to listen to that. It's like, all right, you're saying you love free speech, you love free will, and now you're telling me that I can't tell another kid about that because it's this. Whereas they've never even gone as far as studying it. Or if they say they've studied it, I'd like to ask more questions on how. Or one commissioner that asked to have this in here was if anyone was interested on making any statements on this, like publicly as a group. Do we have anyone here that would like to do that? Because this is a topic for me, again, I would like to talk on a little more. It seems highly important to the work that we're doing, in that it's going to affect education if we're doing bans like this. I think it's a slippery slope. If people are willing to ban things for education today, what are they going to ban tomorrow? It's like in Texas, I think there's certain things about Martin Luther King's legacy that are now banned from being taught in schools. So I don't know. I just think we just might need to raise a little more awareness and get people thinking on it.
Commissioner Traore, you're right. And I'm glad A and C are on the agenda today, because they're at the very center of what the commission is about. And really, that can be going on. And as commissioners right now, or not notice, and even if we notice, not do something about it. Because those are some of the ways that oppression based on color is maintained. So yes, and it is under, in education, even before I was a commissioner, in the listening posts, I did say that the curriculum is one of the weapons that is used to maintain and continue maintaining the ratio and the discrimination status quo. So yes, we cannot, and it's what the commission is about. It's at the very center. So it's more on, yeah, we will address it in the education subcommittee. It's part of that. Yeah, and however else you said making an announcement, or yeah, we can brainstorm on how do we go about this. I yield. Excuse me.
Thank you. I just want to give Commissioner Daniel, I think you had your hand raised. Just wasn't sure if it was 5.
Yeah.
There you go.
Allergies. So I'm really glad that the education subcommittee is looking to do more about this or in this area, because I think it gives us a really good opportunity to reach out to the instructors, the students, the potential students who will be impacted by this, and kind of get their truths. Like, why did you choose to teach critical race theory? Why did you want to take a class in critical race theory? Do you see this ban potentially limiting communication across racial, ethnic, socioeconomic backgrounds in a way that would not have occurred had there been a critical race theory that creates a safe space to talk about these things. So I just want to say kudos to the education subcommittee for looking into this more. And I yield.
Yeah, definitely have to agree. Thank you. Then we have Cliff Johnson. Oh yeah.
Quick question: when are we going to be sitting down and talking with the public about critical race theory? Did I miss that, or I think this is something that we need to just do, like make sure we understand on both ends. I would like to understand personally why people believe that we shouldn't have it and teach it. And I want to hear straight from them. And then from there, I feel like this is something that we need to kind of push, because that's the only way to, it's the only way to make the change. So when do you think we will have a discussion for all of us to kind of get into?
Not particularly sure on that. I would, default to education subcommittee on that. I want to definitely give them an opportunity to see if they have a process they can think of. Mm-hmm. But I do agree with the aspect of like, let's just ask the general community as well. From any conversation I've had of it thus far, people against it, once I ask them 3 questions about just the history or background of it, they clam up and they don't know what they're talking about. So this is another reason why I would love to have this public discussion.
Yeah, are we able to put that on the agenda for us to give the public the opportunity to talk to us about it currently, like while we're doing the commission as well?
Yeah, maybe at the next meeting, we can invite some people to come talk more about it on both sides of the issue. Maybe someone who doesn't even care, like just to get the input from the community. I think the next meeting, or just one of our meetings, would be the best platform for that now. Yeah.
Absolutely. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. Yes.
Yeah. And maybe we have to discuss this on July 26th once we figure out if we're going to be in person or virtual. So, yeah.
Mr. Gathro as well.
Did you say my name?
Yeah, I saw your hand raised. I just want to make sure we gave you.
Okay, and since already the critical theory lends itself to the education subcommittee, as I answer Cliff as the point person for that subcommittee, we are missing you, Cliff. I think either I have the wrong text or the wrong email. So now that we are right there, please give me please text me so that we can, all the 4 of us can organize the next meeting and we make critical race theory a priority, or maybe even the agenda. And then we see whether we can even come up with something we brainstorm and educate ourselves and get ahead and see whether or what we can present to the rest of us. If that's agreeable, because it's already something we had already until Cliff, I lost you.
Yeah. Absolutely, no problem at all. I will be in contact within the day.
Thank you. So. Yeah. And then by the time, then we'll see whether what Commissioner Daniel is suggesting, we see whether we'll have done something. If not, we'll let people know by the time we get together where we'll be at or not at. Yeah. On that one. But one of the things I heard the people, and this is on national media, one of the arguments that's being thrown out there is that critical race theory is dividing people. So that's one of the things that I captured. But yeah, we'll talk more on that as we brainstorm on what to do.
A quick statement I'd like to make on that is a lot of things divide people. You could make the same statement about 50 different things and someone could say it's true. But this is again is the reason I put the definition of truth the way I did. And like, I think it was like a second or third meeting of the TRC, that truth being subjective, and that, you know, anything that man says is true is up for debate. Like the only true things are in nature. No one knows what they're talking about, essentially. You have to have the vast majority of people agree for it to be true. Anything that someone says is true or false is based off what everyone in society tells you.
Yeah. Where I'm from, when the Yankees and the Red Sox face each other, people get divided. Like, so, and nobody's ever talked about banning baseball. So like,
Exactly. There it is.
All right. Do we have anything else we do want to add on this, or are we ready to move on to commission announcements? Yeah. Does anyone have any specific announcements that they would like to make? Just want to remind everyone not to engage in discussion with one another on these announcements. Oh, we have Kevo.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to announce that I have been organizing a series of talks related to the intersection of mental health and justice and equity for minoritized communities. It's being jointly sponsored by the University of Iowa Department of Psychiatry and the Carver College of Medicine Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We've already had a number of really amazing talks by nationally renowned speakers on the subject of like substance use disorders and providing culturally informed treatment among minoritized communities, Native American mental health, immigration law. We have some upcoming talks on LGBTQ mental health and social injustice in mental health. It's been a really stellar series of talks thus far. And they're geared towards folks who work in mental health, but I think could be interesting to anyone who's just interested in these topics as well. So these are happening on the Zoom platform on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. throughout the rest of the summer. You can find the Zoom links and more information if you Google UIHC Mental Health Equity Grand Rounds. Join us for the remaining talks. Thanks. And you can also watch recorded versions of all the talks that have already passed. And with that, I yield.
I want to let the commissioner know, this is Commissioner Gadua, that Nisa really enjoyed being educated by Iowa Legal Aid, and it was exciting to find Commissioner Daniel in her capacity as our trainer coming to give us information, and we are still going to ask them to come back and educate us on fair housing. So none of us knew we were going to find each other there, so it was exciting. So yeah, and we're looking forward to doing more, and especially for housing, and especially people of color, because they are mostly impacted. This is what the TRC is about. So doing and carrying out such truths and what to do about it. The other thing, yesterday and today, I just came out of a conference on human trafficking, and Nisa, we were panelists on talking about Africans who are trafficked in Iowa. So that's another area, and the part. And we also were on the panel with the police department. And also, so we also had conversations on how they're more on the barriers that we need to deal with as far as the police department is concerned, and minorities and human trafficking. The conversations continue. And with that, I yield.
And we have Commissioner.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Commissioner Gathwa. I really enjoyed presenting to the group of NISA advocates and workers. It's amazing work what they're doing with a community that is often marginalized in Iowa. So thank you so much for having me. I did want to bring it to the commission's attention that the CDC moratorium on evictions is ending on July 30th. And so beginning August 2nd, there will be a lot of evictions in Johnson County. And these tend to disproportionately affect people of color, people from marginalized backgrounds, et cetera. And so there's an added urgency to the excluded workers funds because money makes the world go round and it makes landlords rethink eviction. And so these people do need this money, and I yield.
I'd like to say that we have National Night Out coming in just under 2 weeks, and that will be at Weatherby Park. Additionally, so for Monday, if anyone would like to be a part of that whole mock city council thing, feel free to. Otherwise, city council meeting will be on Tuesday. And when it comes to our statement, we'll have a version of that ready by Saturday and send to everyone. And then in terms of the presentation, Sunday, we'll send that to everyone. And all of your input's welcome. Feel free to change, cross out, anything, whatever. Just want to make sure, give everyone the chance to see it before it's just put out to the public. Other than that, just want to say, everyone, just keep taking care of your mental health and take care of yourselves, because it's a lot that everyone's involved with. And as you kind of just get into dog days of the summer, just make sure you reach out to someone if needed. Reach out to any of your fellow commissioners if needed. I would rather hear sooner than later if something's going on, so let's just keep taking care of each other. That's all I have. Any other announcements? All right. We do have the staff announcements next then, in that case.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
With that, looks like we are adjourned, and I can never remember on this. Do we ever need roll call or a motion for this?
Yeah, I mean, not really.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You can just get a motion to adjourn, and then that I don't think you need to do a roll call after that.
Okay. And can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded, Ollie.
All right. And with that, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.
And we are adjourned.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.